Is Gen Z done with the American dream? Why everything's changing in 2025, and this is just the way I feel about things. I think that, as we start defining what Gen Z actually is, and we start looking at what ages that is, that's talking about people that's anywhere from the age of 13 to 28. Well, guys, we all know that between that particular time in life, there's a lot of things go on, a lot of things changing. But I can almost understand why some of these people that are in the position of that age group are looking at it and saying, "Man, what's going on, man? I can't afford to buy a house. I can't afford to buy a car. I go to school all this time and I come out and I still ain't making no money." And I think what it all boils down to is that we're going to see a shift, guys. It's going to come. We're going to see that young people want to have the same things today that young people wanted to have 30 years ago. The difference is that they were fooled into thinking that everybody could have a desk job. Everybody could have, could be an influencer, or everybody could do their job right over their phone. And we took away the pride of learning to work with our hands and learning to, do a trade and learning to, you know, apply skills that are hands on. And we also made it to where that people didn't feel success because for so long, the trades and other things like that were, you know, kind of downed upon because you didn't go to college for 4 years or whatever, and they could pay you just a little less because maybe you were a high school dropout, but you were a darn fine worker and you needed work, so they'll keep you working and they'll pay you enough to just let you get by. But in this little video, I just wanted it's an interesting topic because I have a son that's 15 years old and a daughter that's 17, and the one thing that I have seen out of this particular age group coming up is that their actual human connection is slighted by the idea that somehow if they FaceTime a friend or whatever, that's the same. And it's not. Guys, we all know that human interaction that we get that only comes from getting around other people and feeling the vibe of that person and just kind of understanding the situation and being a part of everything, the sights, the smells, the sounds, just the ability to reach out and touch somebody, which is huge these days, man. But you'll walk into a restaurant, guys, and you'll see a whole table full of family, and I think it all boils down to this. It comes down to moms and dads taking the opportunity when presented. We all know that the computer and the phones are part of our lives, but we can take an opportunity as parents and as adults and as friends. When we get together with a friend, well, then, you know what? Leave the phone in the truck and hang out with your friend. When you go out to eat, put the phone in your pocket and don't take it out until dinner's over with and sit and visit with one another. You know, there's human interaction to be had, and I think, Gen Z, they have it right in some ways. I mean, live it up, live the van life, get out and do your thing. But I believe that a lot of the things that they struggle with or that they're going to struggle with is going to come down to, you have to get out in the real world and apply your human touch to things. No matter how much AI you know how to use, no matter how well you know how to use your phone, you've got to get out and get into the world. And I think it starts with us as parents and as leaders, to just say, hey, take those purposeful opportunities and get rid of that device, get rid of that, and let's have some human interaction. Because I believe that's where we're really falling short, because the phone is a part of our lives, the computer is a part of our lives, AI is a part of our lives, and I think it's gotten so much space in our lives because we've moved over and allowed it to have that space. I think that there's room enough for us to share the space in a healthy way without, using the phone as a cop out or a babysitter or as a way to just disconnect. There's other ways to disconnect, but be even more connected to the people that you're with. Like, if you go out for a hike, then leave the phone at, leave it in your pocket. You don't want to be caught hiking around with your phone. You know, you might walk off a cliff, at least around here you might. But this was just a cool, interesting topic in my opinion, because I have children. My name is Guy. This is Creating Change. I have children that are coming up in this era, and it's a tough line that we have to try to walk between allowing them to have the technology that's there for them, but not allowing it to dictate and run their every second of their life. And pushing up, like my son, I know he's not really crazy about school, so I'm super supportive of the trades and learning to do those types of things. And I think just putting it out there, as the leaders, as the parents, the leaders of that generation, is like, hey man, it's all right to put this thing down. This is not your real human connection. Your real human connection happens out in the world. It happens without your head hunkered down over top of this device, waiting on it to give you an answer. And believe it or not, sometimes you'll get out and find your answer a heck of a lot better by getting out in the world and finding the answer than ever by hitting, what ChatGPT has to say. But this was just I was reading about that this morning, the Gen Z, and I just thought it was a cool topic to touch on, because I just feel like that, we have an opportunity right now to teach that there is a way to integrate both the technology side and the actual human connection side. And that's what I'm all about, is figuring out how that you meld the two, because you're not going to get rid of it. It's not going nowhere. So we may as well learn to integrate it into our lives, but in a healthy sort of way. And for Gen Z, or whatever you want to refer to them as, I refer to them as our kids. For them, I think showing them by example is the best way. And it starts with little things. It starts with when you go out to dinner, leave the phone in the car or in your pocket. Whatever. I don't want to see it at the table. If you want to talk to me, don't you dare text me and be sitting across the table from me. Those types of little things, and having fun, guys. Have some fun. Have some real fun. Get out there and smile and laugh and interact with the world. And, maybe ride one of them 50 cent little horses that they have in front of the stores sometimes, and embarrass your kids, and take those moments, and don't worry about filming everything. Yeah, it's cool. I'm a creator, and I enjoy making my films, and I enjoy making my videos, or whatever you want to call it. But I think that you sacrifice some moments by having that device there. It creates a totally different vibe. So this is just my way of touching on this topic. I thought it was a cool topic, and I think it's something to give some thought on, because it starts with leading by example, and it just small things, but I just truly feel like trying to show that there's a way to have both, and because we're gonna have both. So you can't say, well, I'm not letting my kids have a phone, or I'm not letting them have you ain't got no choice, guys. I mean, unless you're just going to remove them from technology altogether, which, that's your choice, I guess, as a parent. But I believe that the best choice for myself is to teach my son that there's a time to put that thing down. There's an appropriate time to say, I ain't answering that phone. You're not that important. Get over yourself. There is nothing that makes you that important right now. You're eating dinner. It'll wait 15 minutes. Now, if it's an emergency, then they'll call back, or they'll leave, whatever. They'll leave you a text. But, there's a time and a place to put it down and say, I'm spending time with my actual family and my people. I'm here, and I'm not going to be on this device. So, take the opportunities to share with your family, and I think it all starts with just by example. When little tiny things. When you take a walk, well, you don't need your phone to take a walk. Hold your boy's hand, or hold your girl's hand, and take your kid for a walk. If you need something in your hand, hold their hand. You don't necessarily need that device in order to do it. And you certainly don't need to catch everything on video for it to be a memory. Okay? Well, guys, this is Guy. I appreciate y'all being here. Welcome to Creating Change. Please like, subscribe, share if you feel so led. If not, I really don't care. I just appreciate you guys being here. I really thank you. Y'all have a good one.